What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous Georgian goes back with another one of the big names in our sport. Beneil Dariush has been going at this for a long time. He in that stellar lightweight division. He's fought them all, and now he's got another guy, a tough Frenchman, Benoit Saint Denis in New
hmm
York. I like the sound of that, Beneil. Are you happy with the matchup?
Yeah, it's cool. I've never fought in New York. Madison Square Garden is kind of a dream for all the fighters. So it wasn't something like I was particularly expecting, but I'm pretty stoked about it. So um, the matchup is great as well. I think he's a great fighter, and that's what I desire. I desire to fight the best guys in the world, and I really think he is one of the best guys in the world. He had a great performance last fight, and I'm just looking forward to it.
Did you have to approve of him, or did he have to approve of you? Where are you at? I feel like you're an established veteran, and maybe you get a little bit more leverage when it comes to them making fights involving you.
So I think what it is it was one of those things where everybody was already matched up, and because I asked for somebody ranked higher, and essentially everybody was matched up except for Gamrot, and I fought Gamrot already, and to be honest, I offered to fight Gamrot. When did I offer? Before my last fight, before I fought my Moicano, there was a call like, "Hey, do you want to fight? If you want to fight somebody ranked higher, they're like Gamrot's available." And I said, "Sure, we can do that fight at that time." And then nothing ever came from it. So then I got Moicano, and now I asked for somebody ranked higher, and they said everybody's busy, and so I ended up with Benoit.
When you referenced Gamrot, you were willing to fight him again? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, back in June. Sorry, I don't know why my phone does that. It flips the screen, but I'll make an adjustment.
No
Um,
worries.
yeah, before my fight in June, they basically said, "Hey, these are your options. It's either Gamrot or Moicano." And I remember speaking with Hunter, and I said, "Yeah, we could do Gamrot again, no problem." And then they eventually came back and said, "Hey, we want you to fight Moicano." And I said, "Okay." And then again they were kind of gonna try to do the same thing. It's either gonna be Gamrot or Benoit, and you know, I didn't really have a preference, and I just figured I would fight Benoit because we haven't fought before, and I think for Gamrot and I will fight in the future, but I think it'll be for the belt because I think we're both of that level, and I think we'll eventually be there.
The reason I ask is I was going to kind of ask you if when Oliveira needed an opponent, you would go in there. Now, that would be you avenging a loss. With
Mm-hmm.
Gamrot, you'd be giving someone an opportunity to avenge the loss to
Yeah.
you. But were you ever in that conversation, or was that ever of interest to you?
So my mindset at that time was if they call me for the fight, I will say yes. But they
Yeah.
never actually called me, so I never had an opportunity to say yes. My understanding is they reached out to Benoit and they reached out to I don't know who else they reached out to, and then Gamrot was actually asking for the fight nonstop, and he was able to get the fight.
Is that pride where like I ain't gonna go chasing for anything? I mean, what I guess my question is why didn't you call them to offer, or was it just not really at the top of your
Is- What I've noticed with the UFC, if they
yeah.
want something, especially when it comes to me, if they want something from me, they'll call me. It's never one. I've called to ask for higher rank guys a million times, and I've been kind of shut down. So I had a feeling it was going to be the same thing. So I didn't even attempt to call and be like, hey, I want this fight. Because if they were interested in me, they would have called me. They would have at least hinted that they'd be like, "Hey, is this something you'd be willing to do?" And I would have said yes. So they never even called. So I said no problem. I'm just gonna focus on the guy in front of me. What I was surprised about is it was offered to Benoit, and he didn't take the fight. So I thought I was actually gonna lose my opponent, but I didn't, which is great.
So a two fight losing streak is rare. We just didn't do that. And but you shook it off. You beat Moicano. And I guess now that you can look back, how was that stretch? Because when you attach it to injury, it was like a 3 year run, and you're so passionate about your craft. I know that you're one of the guys that is just constantly thinking of the fight game, your career. So now that it's been a few months, how good does it feel to just have another frame of mind going into this fight?
It's good to be coming off of a victory, and losing is really hard for me. I like you said, spend a lot of time in my craft. I believe I'm the best in the world, and I want my opportunity to prove it. And unfortunately, I fell short. So now I have to work and get back to that position. That being said, one thing that there is about just being hitting rock bottom, spiritually speaking, it's when I'm able to hear the voice of God the best. When I read scripture, when I'm praying, when I'm meditating, and all these things, I can feel Him the most. So there's that benefit of it, and that's something that's very encouraging, which allows me to stay in the fight and continue to push forward. And so, with a lot of athletes, you see them go with two losses and they're never the same again. But um, that's that doesn't happen to me, and that's just because of my relationship with God.
This rebuilding process, can you point to one thing that is unique this time around? You mentioned your spirituality and all that. Your life has changed a lot. Your kids are older. You have students at your new place. Is there one thing that you can point to that's a little bit different this time around for you?
I mean, again, I would go back to my relationship with the Lord. That's the main thing. But what I would say also is different. It makes it even more of a miracle. My rebound is my age. People at my age typically they start to slow down, but I don't feel like I'm going to slow down. I actually feel things are going to turn around, and I'm going to be I'm going to go on an even a greater run than I was on before.
When this matchup was announced, the first thing George and I do in our heads is we kind of play it out in our head. And it seems like you're both two well-rounded fighters, and it seems like there's so many scenarios that can actually happen in this fight. And at the end of the day, our experience has shown us that that's kind of what makes a great fight and a great matchup. When you envision this fight and how it's going down, do you kind of go back to one thing that you've seen over and over, or do you see multiple ways of this fight ending?
Sounds good. I agree with you that he's very well rounded, and I can win in many different ways. I can also lose in many different ways. So it's going to be a tactical fight, and ultimately, I think whoever's more well rounded is going to win this fight. So I have to make sure I'm staying sharp on everything. It's like offense, defense, and all the in betweens. It's the little gaps in MMA that make the big difference, and so I just have to stay sharp and not give too much away right now.
Uh, we've always known you as a very disciplined fighter, and really in general, just a good human being, a disciplined human being. Is there one thing that we don't know about you where maybe in your life you're not as disciplined as we think?
you know, People tell me that, but if you let me, I would just stay home and I would just read comics all day. That's something like if there wasn't this desire in me to be a champion, I would just stay home and like just be drink coffee, eat junk food, and read comics. That would be that would be something that would happen if I didn't have this desire. But thank God, man. Uh, the discipline is there, fortunately. But yeah, that's something I think people don't realize. Waking up in the morning and committing every day. It's something you have to do consistently. It's not something that you just have. Um, you wake up in the morning, you recommit, and you plan out your day, and you get after it. But there's always the idea of like, hey, why don't we just chill? We trained really hard this week. Why don't we hang back and we can pretend to diet and we can read comics.
Hey Benny, really quick. I know I just told George he would be next. Really quick though. What would be your dream comic and your dream fast food together?
Uh, so there's this Japanese comic called Berserk. The author actually passed away. Like that's how long it's been going. It's like 30 years. I would love to have the original set, like him finishing it. He didn't finish it. Someone else, I think, is not finishing it. I would love to have the whole thing finished in front of me. And man, as far as junk food goes, bro, like it depends. Are we talking, like In and Out, or are we talking sweets? Because I would start with burgers, and then I would finish with milkshakes and things like that. That would be my junk food go to. And then in Orange County, we have this place called Joe's Italian Ice. They, for whatever reason, they're the best. They have the best. I don't even like the ice, the whole Italian ice thing. I think it's silly, but they have the best ice cream. I think the ice cream is amazing. It's like, bro, Italian ice. You're just getting ice and you're putting sugar on it. But my kids love it. But their actual ice cream is the best. So those are things that I would want. I would want to get In and Out. I'd like to get a milkshake either from In and Out or Joe's, and then I'd just hang out, and then I'd read and eat chips, and then drink coffee and dark chocolate. I don't know, just things like that. I'm not too picky, but um, chilling. That's my definition of just chilling.
Well, you fight at 155. What do you walk
Mhm.
around at?
Right now, I'm looking good. Right now, weight's pretty low. I'm like 78, 79. But typically I fluctuate between 185 and 190. And what really makes the difference is if I'm training. For example, we had a mini vacation and I went to Hawaii. And while I was in Hawaii, I didn't really get to exercise, and so I lost a lot of weight. Uh, and the reason why that is your muscles don't hold any water. It doesn't need to hold as much water. So, but if I'm in training and eating whatever I want, 185, 190. Like there's no getting around it.
And comic book and milkshake Beneil, what would he if he didn't train for like 3 months? What would you weigh? Would you go over 2 bills?
I think I would have it would have the opposite effect. I think I would like get scrawny and like I'd be skinny fat, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I would get to 200, but because I take 10 days off and all of a sudden my weight's down. I'm in like 180, 178, and I'm like, how could this be? I'm in terrible shape, but somehow I'm losing weight. And then as soon as I start training back up, I'm back up to 185 to 190. So I don't know. I think I could easily get to 200, but it'd be kind of a skinny fat thing, and I don't think it would look good.
A few months ago, we saw your good friend Giga Chikadze being cornered by you and Cub Swanson. So he was training with those guys. Is that something that you're gonna do as well, or have you kept your camp different, or are you at Kings MMA back with them? Well,
So I have Kings MMA Anaheim. That's my
yeah,
gym. I do all
right.
my training out of that.
Okay.
Giga decided to work with Cub. One because him and Cub obviously have history and they get along well. Whoa, what is going on in the background right now? I promise I'm not doing that.
It has to do with your hands. If you make a certain motion, that'll
I
happen.
see. Okay, okay. So him and Cub have a good relationship, and so once they started Giga went and trained there, and he really liked the way Cub runs practice, and
Mm-hmm.
he's still training with me. So we were able to both corner him. But for me personally, I do all my training in Anaheim. I the only thing I don't do in Anaheim is my strength training. And actually, once a week, I go to Naaman Gracie for jujitsu. He just opened up a gym in Costa Mesa, and man, that guy knows jujitsu. It's just different the way he knows jujitsu. So it's so good for me to get to him and work with him.
So your run with Monster Rafael Cordero's over?
At the moment, yeah, we're not working together. But obviously, I call him. I every time I fight it, and I thank him for everything. It's just he's got such a busy schedule. He's all over the place, and then more than him, it's me. I have three girls now. I think I've talked to you guys about this before, but when I go to my gym, my kids go with me. My dogs
Mhm.
go with me. I get to do my training. I get to train as hard as I want. As soon as I'm done, I shower and guess what? I get to hang out with my family. I get to eat with them, and I get to keep that, and it's not something I want to sacrifice. I don't want. I know typically fighters have to, but I'm fortunate enough where I don't have to. So I actually don't want to lose that time, this short time that I have as they get older. My oldest is now 4. The middle one's 2.5, and I have a 10-month old. I want to see their progress. I want to see them grow up, and I don't want to miss any of it. So that's the biggest reason why I'm not able to go to HB as much.
You've been fighting since 2014, so we're over 10 years. And
2014 for the UFC.
for the UFC, yeah.
Uh, yeah, 2009 was my first fight, which is crazy to think about because I had just been training for like 2.5 years.
Yeah. So we're we're almost done with 2025, so it'll be a dozen years you've been with the UFC. Um, how different is it from when you started to now where it's at with the PI? And I guess just there's so many more things available to fighters now that are starting than when you started.
So you know what's interesting? When I was young, when I was in my early 20s, and when I got into the UFC at 24, the UFC was huge for me. It was like I can't believe I'm here. I'm shocked. It was one of those things where I was um, I not traumatized, but what's the word I'm looking for? I was genuinely in disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, over the years, I've become much more accustomed to it. I've gotten to know the employees. I love the people that I get to work with as far as the employees go and everybody at the UFC, and so it's become very normal to me. And once in a while, I'll stop and look at it and be like, shoot, they really blew up, especially post COVID. Like during COVID time, the UFC just got so much bigger, and now the traction it's getting, it's just wild. So I don't notice it as much as what I'm trying to say, but I clearly it's bigger than ever. It just when I first got into the UFC, my first fight, even though there wasn't a lot of people there, to me that felt like that was big. That was as big as you get, And then every single fight after that is like it's as big as you get, but th- I don't notice it big now, if that makes sense, because just because familiarity.
Did you get to wear your own shorts, or did you show up when it was Reebok already?
No, I was before Reebok. I was before
Oh,
Reebok. Who was still there? Stitch was still there.
Burt Watson.
Bert was there. I'm trying to think if I don't know if John was still working. Um he might have still been there as well. So yeah,
Who, who's John?
John MacArthur,
McCarthy? Oh, Big John.
McCarthy. Sorry,
Hey,
John
did you know
McCarthy.
he's coming back?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's gonna start roughing again.
Oh, that's cool. He's
Yeah,
he's best in the business, so it'd be good to see him.
yeah. So you saw the UFC go from custom kits, they would drape your banner over the cage, to then Reebok and now Venom, and you got there probably before USADA as well, and now whatever it's
Hmm.
called, Drug Free Sport International.
Yeah.
International. So you've been through like these different eras. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's weird to think about. Like, we joke around about my age. Everybody's like, Dariush looks like he's 50, but I don't feel old. You know what I mean? I love training. I love competing, and it just feels weird when I look back at everything. It's like, man, this was this year, and this was this year, and I can't believe it's been that long. And yeah, it's wild to think about. But I got plenty left in the gas tank, so let's see what happens.
Hmm. Um, are you meaner now that you're a dad of three, or do you think when you were younger you were meaner because you were more reckless and didn't have, I guess, your own family to think about?
I think having kids is humbling, is the way I would put it, because you think you think you're a good person and you're not selfish, but then once you have kids, you're like, man, I'm pretty selfish. So I think that's the best way I would put it. I would say it was humbling, but as far as meanness goes, man, on the mat, like I don't know how to explain it. It's always it feels the mat feels like my first nature. Like it's never been hard to kill. Like that's the best way I could put it. If you put me in an octagon, you put me on the mat, and you say, "Hey, life or death," it makes sense to me. It's never been difficult. So, yeah, no, I would say the meanness is the same as ever.
I think we joked with you once a few years ago about because you went to high school in Orange County like we did. Have you been back to those reunions? And what was it like when you did meet up with your high school friends? Did they say, "Oh, it makes sense," or were they fans of you? Did some of them not even know what you do? What's that been like?
Most of them knew. It was fun. I went back to my 10-year reunion when I was 28. I didn't get to stay long. One of my cousins got one of my friends got really uh, drunk, and I had to carry him home. But it was fun. I got to hang out with some of my friends. Most of them knew what I do, and I got to speak with them. The thing is, majority of the people that I spoke with in high school, I still stay in touch with. So it's
Mm.
not a whole lot has changed. As they'll text me here and there, make fun of me, and then we'll just it's just be kind of the usual.
Well, you're a bigger man than me because I think I would have shoved my buddy in an Uber and said, "Get him home safe. I'm here with the homies."
Yeah, but we went there as a group, like all the boys. We went there as a group, and I think we left as a group. So, we just had to carry a few. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, always great to catch up with you. Can't wait for the fight in New York against Benoit Saint Denis. He's got his little streak going. Obviously, you've been a G for so many years in that lightweight division, ranked for top 10 for years. So I can't wait to see how this one plays out.
Me too, brother. I'm excited.
Thank you for the time, Benny.
Take care, guys.